Welcome to the FallenState. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you all so much for being with me. You can support us by going to TheFallenState.tv/donate or click in the link description and go to locals.com. And I do appreciate it. I have with me Earl something.
Yes.
Skakel.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, I did?
But I kind of like Earl something better.
Earl is a comedian, actor, and the host of Inappropriate Earl Podcast. So tell me once again, why did you name your podcast Inappropriate Earl Podcast?
Well, it's ironic because the questions I ask are all appropriate. I just thought Inappropriate Earl flew off the tongue. You know, in the podcast world, as you know, a lot of traffic is really generated by just the name alone of your podcast.
Yeah.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Right.
So I just wanted a catchy name, and it stuck, so
Nice.
I kept it.
And it's called the Inappropriate Earl Podcast. And so what's important to you?
Happiness, health, and cutting out negative people out of my life.
Yeah. And what is a negative person? An example of a negative person?
Someone who is always putting down others. You know, if a TV show is successful that a friend of mine is on, they'll say, well, that show sucks. I'm funnier than that person. Well, obviously you're not.
Yeah.
Or putting down even your sports team. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they suck. That quarterback sucks. Well, let's see you do a better job.
Right on.
When you got 11 guys trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Let's see how you'd act.
And it's easy to sit on the sideline and say how good you are.
Yeah, I mean, it takes balls to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are in an empty studio.
Yeah.
You know, people probably, oh, this is a little boring. They're just talking. Well, let's see you come up with a better idea.
That's right. Amazing. And so are you a Christian?
You know, I have a weird religious upbringing. My mom was Jewish, but she converted to Catholicism to marry my dad. This is in the 50s.
Right.
So I was raised Catholic, but most, if not all, Jewish people would be like, no, you're Jewish.
Yeah.
So, but I guess I identify as Catholic, but now I'm not very religious at all. So.
Oh, you're not. And so your mother was Jewish and your daddy was white?
Of course.
What a mess.
I think my dad was Sean Kemp.
And do you love the Jews?
I don't dislike them, but do I love the Jews? I love everyone. I love everyone as long as you're nice to me. Now, if you're not nice to me, we got a problem.
Amazing. And so you love the Jews?
I love the Jews. L'chaim.
That's right. L'chaim back. And so you're not religious at all now?
No, I just fell out of favor with the Catholic Church and some of their teachings. I think my tipping point was after 9/11. You know, I went to church and the priest giving the sermon was like, that was, you know, God could have prevented that, but he wanted to teach us a lesson. And I was like, tell that to the guy who had to jump off the 112th floor. You know? I don't think he had to die for me to learn a lesson. So I just, they lost me after that.
Oh, I see. And so do you believe there is a God?
I don't believe I do. I don't believe it was, is the God that was presented to me as a child, which was, you know, I went to hardcore Catholic grade school and high school. You know, nuns beating you if you were out of line. And their presentation of God was, do what he says or you go to hell forever.
Yeah.
And I just don't believe God is that vindictive or whatever is up there.
I agree.
So I believe there's something higher up there. I don't know if it's a guy with long hair who's hanging on the cross.
And do you believe he's white or Jewish?
I believe he's both. I mean, he's successful. He's good with money.
Jewish?
That checks out. But he could be black. I mean...
Oh, no.
I mean...
Wouldn't that be shocking? You do all this suffering down here, and then you finally make it up to heaven, and who answered the gate? The doorbell, a black person.
Yeah, but you probably think it's the butler. So, You're like, where's Jesus? You're like, I'm it.
There you go. And so, so do you have perfect peace?
I don't think anyone does.
How about you?
You know, I'm as peaceful. Yeah, I'm in a very tough business. You know, comedy, acting. I'm in a lot of voiceover, cartoons. It's a very stressful business. So I wouldn't say I have perfect peace, but given the high stress job I have, or jobs, I think it's pretty close to perfect peace.
But not perfect yet.
I don't think it'll ever be perfect.
And why not?
Because the entertainment world is full of bad people, so you're always going to have to deal with them. And there will never be a 100% good person ratio in the entertainment world.
And so does that stop you from having peace? Because the entertainment world is not you. You are you. Why would that affect you having peace? Perfect peace.
Because I have to deal with these people on a daily basis. You know, if I'm doing stand-up at night, I have to bring up someone who I don't like sometimes. Or they don't like me. If I'm in a voiceover, you know, I was in I'm the only TV show I'm on right now, I'm the only white guy on an all-black cartoon.
Wow.
And I play the dad. And
you play the dad to black people?
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah. It's Tyler, the Creator, who's a very popular, I guess, urban artist, rapper. It's like the new P. Diddy, I guess. He saw me at the Comedy Store, and he just walked up to me and said, "You have the deepest, most soulful baritone voice. I want you to be my dad." And I was like, "Who are you?" Which he liked. And he's like, "Oh, I'm Tyler, the Creator." I'm like, "Great, I'm Earl the comic." And then I've been the dad on his cartoon for years. But, you know, I had a lot of black voiceover actors mad at me.
I bet.
Because they were like, "Well, that job should have gone to a black actor." I'm like, "Hey."
They were jealous.
Yeah. And I'm like the nicest guy in Hollywood. I'm like, if you got a problem with me, the problem's on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now usually anyone who says that is a line. They're not the nicest people, but...
But you're right that their problem is their problem, and your problem is your problem, and their problem has nothing to do with you, and your problems have nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't cast myself. I didn't campaign to be on the show. I was incredibly lucky for once to have one of the biggest artists in the world. I mean, he's headlined Coachella and went on right before Beyonce one year. Like, he's on a very high level.
Right on.
And it was just luck that he was there the night I was performing. And
so how did you, I know you're from LA, right?
Mm-hmm. Bel Air.
Bel Air. How did you get into, what made you decide to become a comedian and actor and all that?
Well, in high school and just out of high school, most of my friends were agents and managers.
Oh.
And they worked at the big agencies, you know, William Morris, ICM at the time, CAA, you know, those three arts. And they're like, "Earl, just get into comedy. You're the funniest person we know.
Nice.
And we'll help you." And of course, I got into comedy, and they all quit the business to get into real estate. So, you know, I struggled for a very long time.
It was a setup.
Yeah, basically. One guy is still in the business, and he won't return my calls. So, you know, it was...
Amazing.
It wasn't the easy path I thought it would have been.
Yeah, amazing. So L.A. doesn't look... When I came here in '68 from Alabama.
Oh, okay.
1968, it was beautiful. I love L.A. I still love L.A., but not the way it is. L.A., how does L.A. look to you now as opposed to when you were growing up in L.A.?
I mean, I loved it when I was growing up just because, you know, I was born in '68, so I saw it from that.
Wow, you were born the year I was coming out of high school?
My birthday's today.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
I couldn't think of a better way to spend it.
Nice. How old are you today?
56.
You're young.
I feel young. I mean, in Hollywood, I'm old, but, you know, my age is my age. So.
Well, happy birthday, man.
I appreciate it.
And that's nice. And so how does L.A. look? I put it this way, are you surprised to see that it has become what it's become as opposed to how it used to be?
It makes me sad. Because,
yeah, me too.
we were talking before, we started about Sears. And,
Yeah.
I grew up when you wanted to buy a record, you had to go to Tower Records. When I wanted clothes, you had to go to Sears or Bullock's. No one's going to get...
Sears in Santa Monica.
Oh, it was like the Taj Mahal to me.
Sure.
To get school supplies.
Yeah.
And corduroy pants. And now there's so many, like I live in West Hollywood, probably 40% of the storefronts are just vacant. And, I didn't really see a lot of homeless people when I was a child.
I didn't see any when I first moved here. I saw a few, but they were downtown.
Yeah.
On the end of downtown there, but they were nowhere else that I would see.
Yeah, I mean, now they're like...
Everywhere.
Well, I'm in the worst part just because I'm in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
So Beverly Hills pushes them east.
Yeah.
You ever drive by Beverly Hills, you're not seeing anyone homeless.
You sure don't.
And then the Russian Jewish area of like Fairfax, they push them west. So I'm like ground zero. And I'm not anti-homeless, but...
I am anti-homeless.
Okay, so am I. I just want to be nice. I mean, it's out of control. It's like the wire out there.
Yeah. It's a mess.
Well, I've seen them in West Hollywood. A van will stop at the corner and just basically push them out. You see the hospital bracelets. So they've been in mental institutions, and they're just figure it out.
Yeah.
And then it can get pretty rough.
What a mess.
I don't know what the answer is.
You should run for office.
I've got too many skeletons.
Everybody does.
Yeah, but I'd have every ex-girlfriend coming out. I mean, I've never been in jail, but I'm too honest to be a politician.
Oh yeah. Amazing.
I look at Gavin Newsom, our governor. He's horrible.
He is.
But he could lie to a widow.
Yeah.
And get her vote.
Yeah.
So I can't be like that. I'm too honest.
Amazing. Oh, and speaking of that, I think I read somewhere, I may be wrong, that the Kennedy guy that's running for president.
He's my cousin.
What's his name?
Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
That's your cousin?
My dad's sister, Ethel Kennedy, is his mom.
Wow.
So it's, and I couldn't even get on his comedy show. Like that. You talk about comedy in a nutshell. My first cousin is running for president.
Right.
He has a comedy show to get campaign funds, and I'm the only comic he knows. I still couldn't get on the show. So he lost my vote. I voted for Jill Stein, the Jewish broad.
Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
She gets less votes than he does.
Right. And so does he know you? Like, are you guys close?
I mean, we're not close, but he was at both my parents' funerals, and, I've seen him at Gold's Gym working out shirtless.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean.
And so does he ever come to any of your shows, or has he ever come?
They're too late for him. I go on at midnight.
Oh, I see.
At the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's hard to invite people to shows.
Especially that time of night.
Well, I close out the show usually, so they need. I'm like the closer in baseball. You need someone to come in and put a stamp on the show.
And so, do they normally have the person that's the funniest to be last, or the person that's not funny?
Well, I hope it's not that. Well, comedy is subjective, so No, I think in the Comedy Store's mind, everyone's funny. So, and it's all different kinds of funny. Like, I'm very dry and sarcastic. You might have someone before me who's bubbly, and then the person before them is a combination of bubbly and sarcastic. Women, men, black comic, white comic.
Right.
So it's I think they trust me going on last because I have a good command of most rooms.
Nice.
Because I'm in there with the leather pants and the custom jacket.
Yeah.
And so people look at me going, we better listen to this guy. So, which is important at that time of night.
And so being a Kennedy, what's that like for you? And what was it like growing up?
Well, I'm a Skakel. That's even worse. It was interesting. My mom was a hillbilly from Cartersville, Georgia. So she didn't care about the Kennedys. I mean, Ethel Kennedy once came to our house. It was me and my mom. She came over, I'll never forget, maybe around 11 at night. She had like Secret Service with her, you know, just because of her family's past. And she knocks on the door. My mom opened it, left the chain on, so she's just looking through the doorway at one of the most powerful women on earth at that time.
Yeah.
And Ethel was like, Jenny, can I come in? And my mom's like, nah, and just shut the door in her face.
Wow.
She didn't care. Most people would be like, Ethel, come on in, there's some tea and crumpets.
Right.
But it was a strange, Skakels and the Kennedys, it's almost like the Hatfields and the McCoys. They're family, but they're kind of separate.
Oh, I got you. And so were you surprised when he endorsed the Great White Hope?
I think from what I understand, he was playing both sides. Like, I think he reached out to the Harris campaign.
Yeah, he did. I think I heard that too. I'm not sure.
He probably needs a gig, and he's probably trying to figure out, okay, who's going to win, and who should I align myself with, and I think after the first assassination attempt on Trump, he's like, and I thought as soon as he got shot and he raised his fist and in defiance, I was like, oh, he just won the election, but then it's like a prize fighting match. Now Harris is kind of leading, so I think. At that time, Kennedy probably thought, Trump's the guy to go with. So, but who knows? It's tight.
I don't believe she's leading.
Can I ask you a question? Why?
Because the media, they're really for her.
100%.
And they love to deceive us about everything. And I just think that they're pretending that she's leading, but she's really not leading. Because nobody liked her. She never done anything. She never stood for anything except socialism. And the blacks don't like her. So I just don't believe she's leading. You got to do more than just grin during a cat.
I don't know if she's leading.
Right, I don't believe it.
I watch all three of the networks, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, to get the real fair and balanced. Okay.
Right.
I was watching before I came here. She was at that same place Trump was at, the Black Forum.
Yeah, what a mess.
And today they were giving her softball questions.
Of course.
Not interrupting her. I'll give Trump this. He goes into enemy territory.
Yes.
He has the first debate on CNN, that last debate on ABC with two. Those moderators should be fired.
Yes.
And I'm truly independent. Like, I don't like either side, to be frank. So I'm like saying to both parties, hey, you want my vote? Sales pitch me.
Yeah.
And so far, neither has.
And so are you voting for the Great White Hope?
Right now, I'm not voting for either.
How did you know who the Great White Hope was?
Well, when there's only two candidates, I'm going to assume you're not talking about. I know you're not talking about my cousin. He when he endorsed Trump, he gave Trump about 5 votes. So, I'm assuming Trump. I'm assuming you mean Trump, unless you have another candidate. So you're voting for Trump
all the way.
All right.
I gave him the name, the Great White Hope.
Well, see, I'm thinking of Jerry Quarry, the boxer from the 70s. He was the Great White Hope.
Where is he now?
I think he's died of CTE.
I rest my case.
I was a huge heavyweight boxing fan in the 70s when white boxers were pretty good.
Yeah.
And then,
so are you voting for the Great White Hope?
Not right now. I just...
No, not now, in November.
I'm undecided. I truly am. Really? I'm not going to vote for... See, here's the thing. My next-door neighbor is a political consultant. My favorite wrestler there is a point to this. As a child, was the wrestler Kamala Harris. He was the Ugandan giant.
Oh.
And I know the fans of the presidential nominee, her name is Kamala. But I call her Kamala, not to disrespect her, but I've said the name Kamala a million times because of the wrestler.
Yeah.
So
nice.
He's dead too, by the way.
I rest my case.
Yes.
So, are you voting for the come November?
You should get into politics. I voted for him in 2020.
Nice.
Because his financial policies, frankly, line up with where my money's at.
Yeah.
But I just, all the trials and the sexual assault stuff, it's hard for me. I believe like the E. Jean Carroll, I don't think she made that up. I got sisters and nieces. It's hard for me to, although I don't vote for the best person, like.
Nobody does, because there's no such thing as anyone without a past.
Right. So I got a lot of you-know-what for voting for him in 2020. And I'm like, listen, he cheated on his wife. I don't care. I care what he's going to do in terms of tariffs. And
me too.
I hate to be, that's just the realistic way of politics.
Yes.
Biden's a scummy
Just think
guy.
about if you ran for office now, all your little dirt will come out, right?
100%.
But you probably will make a good representative.
Oh yeah, and I don't have that much dirt. I mean, a bad breakup, here and there.
Yeah.
That's about it. So, but I'm sure that girlfriend would be on CNN.
Trying to get the money.
So tell us about Earl. Well, there's no money at CNN. I mean,
Right.
but I'm sure they would find her and tell us all the bad stuff about Earl. And I don't want to put up with that.
That's right. And so, are you voting for the Great White Hope?
I'm gonna vote for you. I like how I would like for he didn't have a great debate last week. He was a little off his game, and that was in part because
I thought he won that debate because he went up against 3 people.
And I don't usually believe in conspiracies or, but that was so heavily one-sided in terms of their.
Yeah.
Fact check Kamala.
Yeah.
Finally said it right. Interrupt her once.
I call her Camilla.
Well, that's one of my favorite pro wrestlers. I don't like. Here's what I don't like about her. I mean, let's be real. She's probably been the president for about a year now.
Yeah.
Because of Biden's cognitive decline, and I'm not making that. I lost my dad to that kind of cognitive decline.
Yeah, my father too.
So I'm not making fun of Biden.
I understand that.
But, he definitely went downhill mentally. And I think she and most in her party, Schumer, Pelosi, they knew it too.
Yeah.
For about the last year. So when she sits there today, and she said it today, on day one, I'm going to do this. It's like, your day one started about a year ago.
A long time ago, yeah.
So, she's as full of what as Trump is.
Well, she has more than Trump. She's more full of it than Trump.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty equal to me, in terms of, if you were to fact check both, they'd probably have an equal amount of check marks in terms of BS.
And so are you voting for him?
I really wish. No one makes me laugh. You make me laugh. I really wish there was a third party, not my cousin, that was a viable third choice. But I think in American politics, it's always going to be, you got to vote for one of the two.
Would you have voted for your cousin had he ran?
If he had a chance. I mean, when you're
But he wouldn't have a chance if you don't vote for him.
I get that, but realistically, if I voted for him, he's still going to get 3%. And it's like voting for RFK Jr. is like wanting the Washington Generals to beat the Globetrotters. It's just never going to happen. Amazing. That's an old school reference, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. So are you voting for the Great White Hope?
You remind me a lot of my ex-girlfriend, who was from Alabama. She was very
Was she black?
No, she was not. When people spoke to her on the phone, they thought she was black because she had a southern. Yeah. And the same with my mom. People thought my mom was black because.
Right, that southern accent.
Cartersville, Georgia is like Mayberry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
what's wrong with the blacks?
Nothing.
Nothing.
What's wrong with in general? Did you try to get me canceled? Well, like I told you before, I was essentially raised by a black father.
That's why
figure.
you should know what's wrong with them, the blacks.
Well, they're not. I don't think there's anything wrong with them.
You don't?
I mean, there's just as much wrong with the whites.
Meaning what?
Well, I mean, we both commit crimes, and we both.
But not like the blacks.
What am I? Is this the Alex Jones show? Is this Alex Jones in blackface? I don't think anything's wrong with the blacks.
What?
Well, you tell me what's wrong with the blacks.
Why don't you think...
You people.
Right. Why don't you see something wrong with the blacks?
Well, we could pick out what's wrong with the Mexicans, too.
But I didn't ask about the Mexicans.
I don't think anything's wrong in, where...
Well, why is it that the blacks don't build and they destroy? They're always blaming, especially the white man. They never really take responsibility for themselves as individuals. They're always looking for leaders, and they're very angry. What's wrong with the blacks?
But I could say the same thing about white people.
No, you can't.
Listen, I don't know.
But you're not white, you're Jewish.
I know these are 4K cameras. This is not body paint. This is albino skin. But look at the last two people who tried to assassinate Trump. White people.
Right.
Look at Jeffrey Dahmer, one of the great serial killers of all time. White.
But they kill when they do the school shootings and things, it's like one group at a time. The blacks kill every day.
Well, whites are economical when we kill.
Right.
We like to get bigger bang for the buck. If I get another comedy gig after this airs, I'll be amazed. But we could, we could say what's wrong with the Asians. I'm sure they do something wrong.
Of course, but the
outside of driving.
Blacks are leading the way in destruction.
I don't know if I agree with you on that one.
Really?
I mean,
which race is leading the way of destruction if it's not the blacks?
Well, we could point to any race and cherry pick incidents or...
You don't have to cherry pick the black incident. You just close your eyes and...
Well, I mean, I've grown up primarily in white neighborhoods, so my exposure is to what white people are doing wrong.
All right.
I mean, I'm not hanging out on Crenshaw and Normandy going, hey, guys. So I'm sure if I lived in those areas, maybe I could be better qualified to say, well, this is what the blacks do wrong.
Are you married?
No, I had a fiance during the pandemic from Alabama.
Nice.
Well, it didn't, the pandemic really was tough on relationships because...
Especially long distance, huh?
Well, no, she lived with me.
Oh.
She moved out here. She's in the film and entertainment business. If you were having an argument with your loved one before the pandemic, you go, hey, honey, I'm going to go play golf just to get some space.
Right.
Or I'm going to go do an interview, do a podcast. I'm going to go go to the gym. But, in the pandemic, you couldn't do that. You had to be in the room with them.
Right.
So I think that if there wasn't a pandemic, I'd be married to a girl from Alabama. But, there was a pandemic.
Did she obey you?
We were very equal in terms of when you say obey, you mean like OJ telling Nicole to do something? No, we were very level in terms of asking the other to do something.
So she did not obey you?
You're trying to get me in trouble, man. She did most of the time, and I obeyed her most of the time.
You obeyed a woman?
I'm a giver. That's how my mom raised me, to be a giver, and I believe for most of the relationship, that particular one, it was very good.
So you obeyed a woman?
I did.
Wow. No wonder she's not married to you now. Women don't like men like that.
Well, I mean, you got a point. I mean, I can't argue with you.
Yeah.
I mean...
have you forgiven your mother for making you that way?
I mean, I was raised by two parents, not Beaver Cleaver style, but they raised me I'm glad I was raised how I was raised.
Really? So you glad that your mother recreated you in her image to the point you obey women?
Yes, I am. You know,
Really?
I most of my ex-girlfriends, let's just say I have a high return rate. Because the grass ain't greener.
That's right. And so, wow. Have you noticed that every time the man listens to the woman, he suffers?
You know, I think you have to have some pushback if someone asks you to do something you don't want to. You know, there were times, hey, do you want to go see this romantic movie? Why don't you see it with your friends? As when I would ask her, do you want to see this Stallone Film Festival? Why don't you go see it with your friends?
Yeah.
We would do stuff like that.
I tell men that they should not ever marry an educated woman because educated women do not make for good wives and mothers. Do you agree with that?
I don't.
You don't?
I see what you're saying.
And what am I saying?
Well, I'm interpreting it as if you marry a woman who can, who's highly educated, say went to Harvard or something, like my fiance, you know, graduated full ride from Alabama, that they're going to always push back on you.
They want to be equal to you.
Well, I believe you should be equal with your partner. I'm not just saying that for the women out there to go, oh, this guy sounds cool. What's his Instagram?
So you believe that men and women should be equal?
Yeah, like I never have once told a girlfriend, make me dinner, ho. Daddy's hungry.
Why haven't you said that to him? You probably would have one now had you said that.
I probably have a wife.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'm, you know, there's probably a plethora of reasons I'm not married, but, you know, I'm only around comics who are 25 years younger than me.
Nice.
Well, I mean...
You can get you a young one.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, I met my last girlfriend in the 4th grade. She was in the 4th grade, and I was teaching.
Nice.
No, I'm just kidding. That's a Skakel class.
Right, I know.
So I think I'm not around 56-year-old women.
Thank God, huh?
Well, I mean, there's some hot, you know, cougars out there, but I'm only around younger females who, you know, it's just not usually a good match because. You know, they're growing up with Billie Eilish. Right. I'm growing up with Billy Idol.
And so, should a man marry an educated woman, knowing that she does not make for a good wife or mother?
I don't think you can generalize like that.
Meaning what?
You know, it's like saying, you know, all white people are racist or all black people are good at basketball. Like, you can't lump everyone in one group. You know?
Oh, I see. And so all black people are not good at basketball?
Well, have you ever seen Urkel play? He's horrible. He was my neighbor as a kid.
Really?
I mean, that guy played a nerd on TV,
yeah.
But he was with more women than I've ever seen anyone. Like, he'd bring a different girl to the condo each night. I'm like, I actually called him Urkel. I'm like, sorry, dude. He's like, it's all right, bro, it happens.
Nice.
So.
Would you ever marry an educated woman?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me if I would marry Urkel. Yeah, I mean, I'm a vibe person, so I would marry a black, educated woman if I...
You would marry a black woman?
Yeah.
Have you ever dated a black woman?
Once.
That was hard on you, huh?
She's a wild card. She's a little wild card.
I noticed that when white men are with black women, the black women walk all over them. When white men are afraid to do it, they become mama boys when they have black women. Why is that?
Well, I can't speak. You know, this one was just crazy. She didn't walk all over me. She might have had the love of the powdered refreshment that went up the nostrils. So I'm a vibe. I don't have a type. You know, I'm a vibe person. Like if I sit down with a woman like this and just talk,
right.
I feel it. I've dated all kinds of. If you lined up my last 5 girlfriends, serious girlfriends, not the hoes, they all look alike. Or they all look differently. Like,
they all look alike.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know what they say. No,
yeah.
See, you got me so many thoughts running through my mind. I don't know what's going on, but all 5 of my last exes look different. One looks like Julia Roberts. One looks like Pink, the singer. The one from Alabama looked like Miley Cyrus. Like, you would not think the same guy dated these 5 girls.
Right on. So, do you believe in God's order of God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children?
I've never really thought about it. I mean, like I said, I don't believe in the way God and the hierarchy was presented to me as a child and as a teen of, it's God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and then all of us,
right.
all the peasants. And if you don't do what he says, you go to hell. If you kind of do what he says, you're stuck in purgatory. Which seems like torture if you're just in purgatory and you can see heaven, but you can't. It's like going to a strip club and looking at the stripper and you can't touch her.
Right.
Not that I am familiar with that world.
Right.
By the way, there's a great one about 3 miles down. So I don't believe in the
amazing
that particular order you just said.
You don't.
I think we're all equal.
So, would you ever want a woman to be your leader? Would you ever want that?
Not in the way I think you're asking me, like, do this, wear this clothes, act like that. You can't say that.
Or even running for president.
Oh, you mean if I like their policies and I really care about the financial policies.
Well, you're white, that's why.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Right.
Go to dinner with me. I'll stretch a nickel into a $100 bill.
That's right.
I would have no problem voting for a female president.
Really?
Now, in regards,
are you serious?
In regards to Kamala, it's so hard to say the name right. Which is the funny thing. If you look up Kamala Harris, half the articles are about the wrestler. So,
nice.
I think Kamala, her wanting to give away everything for free health care, no, don't worry about the student loans.
Yeah.
My sister worked her ass off and paid off every nickel of her student loans, and she went to Stanford, and they were substantial. So, I'm in the tax bracket. I'm not a successful comic, but I'm not a poor comic either.
Right.
I'm in that middle of I'm known, but I'm not known, and that's the tax bracket she's going after.
I know.
And so,
what a mess.
If there was a female president who said, "Hey, we're not going to tax the middle class to give the poors a better life,"
that's right.
Yeah, you got my vote.
Nice. Let me ask, what do you think about the attack upon white men? White men are to blame for everything that's wrong. Everybody, especially the blacks, blame them for everything. There is an attack on white men. What do you think about that?
I think my career's over after this. You ask very thought-provoking questions.
Thank you.
It's very Larry Elder, and I mean that as a compliment.
Oh, I love that. I know Larry, good friend.
I met him at the Playboy Mansion once.
Nice.
I was dressed as Stallone in Rocky. I'll never forget this. He was dressed as King Tut. And a girl with the biggest breasts I've ever seen in my life walks by us, and Larry Elder, he'll deny that he won't remember, but he looks at me and goes, "Go get him, Rocky."
I remember I had an invite when I was young to go there, and I didn't go because I was a Christian, and I'm trying to be all Christian. I regret not going.
I mean, I snuck in twice.
I wish I had made it, God, just to see it.
It's the most amazing. At the time I went to the first. Hefner had been married for about 6 years, so it just kind of piggybacks on what we're talking about. His wife said, no more lingerie parties.
Nice.
So they get divorced. What a shock. And so that first lingerie party Hefner had, I snuck into. And to be a straight man in that environment, it was like you were in heaven. You were in female heaven. There's virtually no dudes there because that was a strict rule. We don't want guys up here.
Right.
And I just, I acted like I belonged, and I snuck by all the security. I'm like, "Hey, guys." Slick said, "I'm okay." "Okay, have a nice time." And I walk in, and the first 3 people I see were 3 playmates.
You and Larry and...
Larry Elder, and Vince Neil, the singer from Motley Crue.
Larry, was Larry there really? Or you
100%. It was the Halloween party.
Sorry, Larry.
Sorry for blowing you up, Larry. I'm an El Dorado, so like, I love when he goes on Hannity, and I'm a Leo Terrell fan.
Nice.
I'm a political junkie.
Nice. And so, what do you think about the attack on white men?
I knew you were going to come back to that. I'm trying to talk about puss. Well, I'm Jewish. I have Jewish blood.
Is it true that Jews own everything?
100%. I own this studio.
I believe it.
I own that stopwatch.
Well, this building is owned by Jews.
In this area? What are you going to tell me? Today's day ends in Y, too?
I know. And so, but anyway, what do you think about the attack on white men?
Well, I bring up being Jewish. The Holocaust affects me because, of what it did to generations of my people. Whereas I think if you ask a black person about the Holocaust, they're probably sad about it, but it's not a big deal to them.
You can't find one black sad about it.
I can find one black.
Yeah, Larry.
Sammy Davis.
Larry.
No, I'm just kidding. I think the Holocaust was pretty much a white disaster, a white Jewish situation. So I'm sure a black person was like, hey, I feel bad for you guys, but it didn't affect me.
Yeah.
So getting back to your question of why white people are blamed, slavery.
Slavery?
Was a white person, a white created problem, I guess.
White had nothing to do with slavery.
Oh, well, most of the slave owners were white.
No. A lot of them were black.
Name one black slave owner.
I don't know.
Besides Donald Sterling.
I can't name one right now, but in places like Tennessee, I believe, or one of there, a lot of black people owned slaves in those days.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it didn't happen.
And it was the Arabs who went over to Africa, Mommy Africa, and bought the slave from other black people and took them around the world. It wasn't the white people, and anyone that could afford a slave bought one.
Well, they were just giving them a ride home to the U.S.
Right.
I mean...
So what do you think about the attack on white men?
Well,
Is it right?
I understand it.
You understand it?
Well, like look at the Rodney King situation. 6 white cops beating the you-know-what out of them.
Right.
So I understand why African Americans were angry at white people, because what they saw was 6 white people.
But had Rodney King stopped when they told him to, didn't race down the freeway like he did, and even when they were able to stop him, he seemed, if I remember correct, he was on some type of drugs. I may be wrong, but it was difficult. He was so big. Had he not done those things, would they have had to beat him?
If he did everything by the book, no. But
I rest my case.
Well, I would also say that, now I love the police.
Me too.
Let me tell you right now, if someone breaks into my house tonight, I'm not calling a cousin.
Right.
I'm calling West Hollywood sheriffs. I think they could have handled it differently too. Like the Tyreek Hill situation. Do you know about that situation last week? The Miami Dolphins receiver.
What a mess.
He was...
They should lock him up.
Well, but
right?
I see both sides. Like, from the...
They told the guy, let your window down. What do you do when the cops say, let your window down?
I know what I do. I got my hands on the steering wheel.
Me too.
And I'm putting the window up with my foot.
Yes. And so had he done what they asked him to do according to the videos, would he have had to go through what he went through?
No.
I rest my case.
But I think, the one white officer had like 13 complaints about him about excessive force. And so I could understand, I'm not black, so I can't, I look at that and go, oh man, I think the cop kind of overreacted.
But if you have to deal with blacks acting that way all day, every day, when you get a little sick of it after a while, and you were like, you know what, get you out of this car.
I could see why.
When you get fed up with it after a while?
I could see cops' frustration.
Yeah.
I could understand it. I could understand African Americans' frustration with the cops for what they've, there's dirty cops. who I had a friend of mine I went to high school with, who I saw at a hockey game. The white sport, hockey. The puck is black, but thank God the ice is white.
Well, be careful. It's going to be everything's going to be black soon.
I'm telling you, it's going to be. We're going to be lawn bowling.
Yeah,
experts.
amazing.
But so I saw him at a game. I said, "Hey man, what are you up to?" I'm a cop, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm in Inglewood. I love it. I'm like, I get to, I get to get my shots in legally." I'm like, "Oh boy, that
nice."
I'm not really.
Oh, you didn't think they were pretty cool?
I know. I thought, Jesus, bro, that's kind of racist, no? And he's like, I love it. Like he got, he was a not dirty cop in terms, he was a bad cop.
No.
Because he joined the force to basically harass and beat up the opposite race.
And so do you think it's right and fair that white people are to blame for everything?
I don't think.
To be blamed for everything, every complaint, and the attack on white people, do you think that's fair? Do you think it's right?
I think no race is 100% blamable for everyone's problems.
Yeah.
You could look at, Al Sharpton and some of the race baiting he's done, and go, oh, he's out of control. But then you could, point to some things that, Trump's dad did, not renting to minorities, and go, well, that's.
Do you blame him?
Well,
they don't pay.
Well, yeah, but you can't say. I don't think you can generalize. Like,
no, they don't.
White
and
people
they late.
Don't pay.
They be late. If they do pay, they're gonna pay late.
Are you in blackface right now? Like, this is out of control.
What do you mean?
Your teeth are whiter than anything.
Isn't it true though that if they pay late?
You can't generalize like that.
Why not?
Because it's like saying all Asian people have small weenies.
I didn't say.
Not all of them do.
How you know?
I've been in the gym. I've been in the locker room. And you can't say all African Americans have huge weenies.
Amazing. And so, if they don't pay and they complain and they're late, would you want to rent to people like that?
Any race. I wouldn't want to rent to a white person.
How about the blacks?
Well, if they paid on time.
I rest my case.
But you can't say all black people don't pay on time.
I didn't say all. Not all, but most.
You're kind of saying it.
Not all, but most.
But I don't think you can say most.
Why not?
I think, you can't say, most cops are good.
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Do you love white people?
I don't love them any more than I do black people.
Do you love white people?
Can I come back? I'm having, I thought, geez, Pico and La Cienega, I don't know if I'm going to have a good time here, but, sorry, I just doxed you guys, my bad. I'm at Fairfax and Crenshaw. They're parallel. I like I said before we started recording, I like anyone who's nice to me. Now, you burn me, then we're going to have a problem.
Right.
Whether you're black, white, Jewish, Catholic, whatever. I don't see color. I really don't.
Nice. So what color am I?
Chartreuse. You're definitely black. There's no doubt about that.
That's right.
You're probably going to clip
I'm black
that.
at the ace of space.
You are so black, you made Dikembe Mutombo look like an albino.
I rest my case.
Amazing.
Amazing.
See, we're talking now. You got me talking.
Amazing. And so, do you love white people?
I don't dislike them.
Do you love them?
I like white people who are nice to me. I like black people who are nice to me.
Do you believe that racism exists?
Oh, 100%.
What's your proof?
Well, look at the Proud Boys. I don't think you're wearing hoods because you're trying to avoid the suntan.
But what is it about the Proud Boys that's racist?
Well, I don't think you see a lot of black members.
But there are some black members.
I had never seen a black member.
I believe I even met maybe one or two black Proud Boys.
Well, that must have been at Roscoe's late night. See, I slip in a little racism there. I believe there's racism all over the...
What's your proof?
Well, I had a friend of mine. His name's Roger Maxwell.
He's black or white?
He's black.
Okay.
He's got a white name, so he slides.
Right.
He was a pro hockey player. Had a cup of coffee with the Boston Bruins, but primarily played a level or two below the NHL in southern cities. And he said that when he would play in like Alabama, Alexandria, Virginia, Mississippi, that white people would hang a basketball net on the glass, by the goaltender to mess with his mind.
Nice.
And that's racist.
How's that racist? They're trying to win.
Yeah, but he's not going to shoot the puck in the bucket. I mean, so Mark Furman, dropping the N-bomb more than Eazy-E on a NWA album.
But what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with saying the N-word?
Right.
Nothing if the windows are up. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm going to get killed after this. Can someone walk me to my car? Is this live or are we on YouTube? I mean, there's...
The blacks say it all the time.
Yeah, but that's allowed.
But why? If it's good for the goose, why isn't it good for the gander?
Well, it's the way I was raised. That's a bad word to say if you're of my skin hue.
And you fell for it.
Well, I mean, I do have a funny story about saying that word the first time. So I grew up playing golf. This is pre-Tiger Woods. I think the only black golfer in my era that was of prominence. There was two, Lee Elder and Calvin Pete. And but even before I knew who those guys were, I was a pretty good golfer, self-taught. So one day I shot bogey golf, which is 1 over par. So if a hole's par 4, I shot a 5. And it's on the front 9 at Bel Air Country Club, from the men's tees.
Right.
I was about 12, 13 years old. So I shot, I think it was a 45, which is pretty good. I run into the clubhouse. I said to one of the members, hey, Jim, I just shot bogey golf on the front 9 from the men's tees. And he looks at me and goes, son, that's golf.
Nice.
And I had no idea what that meant. So about 20 minutes later, I go down to the caddy yard. Of course, it's 99% black. And I was so happy. I said, guys, this member just said I shot golf. And the biggest, blackest caddy, I'll never forget, his name was Ray Hood. He was pro wrestling big, 6'7", 400 pounds. Just goes, hey, we love that member, but don't ever say that word again. I'm like, why not?
Amazing.
So I do think there's racism.
Really. Racism does not exist, has never existed, and never will and cannot exist.
I mean,
And I grew up on a plantation.
Well, that's your problem.
In Alabama.
Were you working or did you own it?
I was working it.
Okay. Oh, well, then. Well,
And our battle is a spiritual battle. It's either good or evil. You run into good people and you run into evil people. And they have taken that word evil and turned it into racism for personal gain. It depends on when I was growing up, black people and white people knew there were good and bad people. And those who loved good, they got along. Those who did not get along. And we were taught to treat everybody the same as we would like to be treated. The civil rights people made up that word. The blacks made that word up to control you people.
Well, I do agree.
You people.
Hey, don't call me that, man. We're going to have a problem, bro. I think there are good and bad people in both races, or all races.
It's spiritual, it's not physical.
But I think, I've experienced... I don't know if it's considered racism, but when people hear I'm Jewish, they're like, "Oh, you must be pretty cheap, or you must be pretty good with a buck." To me, that's racist.
But why is that?
Well, it's true, but it's racist. I am good with a dollar.
Right. Jews are known to be good with money and tight.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I'm tighter than a clam with lockjaw.
So why is that racist to say that and know that?
Well, because I don't think you can say that about all Jews. Like, Irv is great with money.
Have you ever met a Jew that wasn't good with money?
I mean, you got me on that one. I'm not going to lie. You got me on that one. But, you know, I don't think you can ever group any race or religious people. You can't say all Arabs are terrorists. Well, I mean, you know. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Then why is it whenever you and I are around Arabs, we hold our neck?
well, I hold my wallet, but like, you know, but that's the Jewish part of me.
Nice.
See, get it? We just combined two racist jokes into one. This is
right.
like Amos and Andy right here.
I love that.
I bet you did like that show.
I love that show.
Did you watch Roots in slow motion just to get it going? No, I'm just kidding.
I should have, but I didn't.
100%.
But let me ask, do you want the borders to be open or closed?
I want people here legally.
Right.
I don't care what race you are. I don't care. You know, it's like if we go to Russia, if you or I went to Russia for whatever reason, you got to pass through like 7 checkpoints before you're allowed in the country, and even then they follow you around. So I just want people here legally.
Nice.
It's not that difficult.
Because of time here,
We're going over.
I heard.
it.
Nice. I heard for the first time the Kennedy family speak out publicly against another Kennedy.
Right.
I've never heard that before. Not that it didn't happen, I just didn't hear it. And when I was growing up, and the Kennedy was just it. The Kennedy, as a matter of fact, in the black families, they would have Jesus picture on the wall, for real, in their home. But when Robert, right, that ran for president, they took down Jesus and put Robert picture there.
Yeah, but he had an afro.
Right.
Like Artist Gilmore.
And I never heard anyone speak out, any Kennedy family member speak out against another one. But they did it with this Kennedy, your cousin Kennedy. What did you think about that when you heard them speak out publicly against him?
Well, I think, as you know, in this era of politics, it's very divisive, and it's very, families are, you know, you have families that have a Republican wife and a Democratic dad, or vice versa, and you know, I think RFK Jr. is definitely an outlier of his family. I think he leans to the right on most issues, and you know, the Kennedys are hardcore to the left. So you know, he's an anomaly in the Kennedy family. I mean, I don't think there's a single Kennedy, from all of Ethel's kids to JFK's kids, who would vote for Trump outside of RFK Jr.
Nice. Can you get him on my show for me?
I can't even get him on my show.
Oh, amazing. So listen, I got to heat this up. I got to put you on the hot seat.
Okay. You wait. I haven't been on for the last 55 minutes?
No.
Wake up, white people.
So I need you to answer these questions as quickly as possible.
All right.
All right?
I'm white, no problem.
The hot seat.
What is love?
Love is unconditional behavior between two people.
Do we need more white babies?
We need more. No, we don't need any more babies in this world. There's plenty of people left. No.
What is a man?
A man is someone who can take care of their business.
Did you take the jab?
I did.
True or false? What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
It depends on who the gander is.
Is the earth flat or round?
It's round.
Do you love white people?
I love all people.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
A black ghost.
Did Big Mama Michelle Obama eat up all the ribs?
No, I think that was Calhoun Tubbs. No, she did not eat all the ribs.
Did the bear shit in the woods?
Oh, yeah, that's where he lives.
Is it wrong for a black man to love the Confederate flag?
I mean, they're confused. I don't know if it's wrong, but...
True or false? Abortion is worse than slavery.
I don't think that's a true or false question. I think it depends. I don't know, to be honest.
Would you ever send your kids to a public school?
Yeah, if it was a good one.
Is sending your kids to a public school child abuse?
Well, I mean, I'm not sending them down to modern day high, but no, it's not.
Is it ever okay to call a woman fat?
PHAT? Yes.
Do you love the great white hope, Donald Trump?
I don't love him, no.
And do you love white people?
You're breaking me down. I feel like you're Tom Lang interrogating OJ. I love all people.
Did you have fun?
This was, I've been doing podcast interviews. Yeah, I did. This was the funnest, most awkward interview I've ever had. If I'm not canceled, what are you going to cancel? My midnight spot at the Comedy Store? Cancel me. I need the rub.
Amazing. Thank you for coming on, and thanks for taking the hot seat.
This was amazing. And
amazing.
This wasn't amazing. This was amazing.
Nice. Tell the folks how to get your podcast or whatever you want to put out there, your comedy shows or anything. I'm
very easy to follow. It's just at Earl Skakel, EarlSkakel. I'm active mainly on Instagram, and I'm on YouTube. I also have, you might be interested in this, I have a social networking, a new platform for white supremacists. You might want to be the first black member.
I would love it.
It's called Black Facebook. Hello!
I'm going to look into that.
Please do.
Thanks for the invite.
It's blackfacebook.org.net.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on.
This was the funnest interview I've ever done. My heart's beating a mile a minute right now, just because I don't know if my car is going to be outside. But.
We have someone out there watching out for you.
Well, I hope it's a white guy. See what's happening to me? Amazing.
Unless they get told off or something because you didn't put money in the media.
Well, you know what people do that.
Yeah. White people.
100%.
Yeah. Amazing.
Al Sharpton in the house.
Thank you all for tuning in. I absolutely appreciate it. Don't forget to support us by going to TheFallenState.tv/donate or locals in the description there, locals.com. Like, follow, ring the bell, subscribe, and our merch, the amazing merch. And so if there's someone else you'd like to see on the show, contact my producer at TheFallenState.tv. I absolutely appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in and your support. Thank you, man. That was so much fun.
I really had a blast.
Amazing.
White people. Clip that out.